When it comes to the widely successful zombie survival genre, there's a singular game that stands at the top: DayZ. Everyone and their mothers were thirsting to get their hands on this experience. While there's certainly no shortage of zombie titles during this era, it stood its ground and redefined the perception of survival gameplay. Starting as a mod for the popular military sim Arma 2, it places the player in the fictional state of Chernarus, where a mysterious plague has infected most of the population, turning people into violent zombies. The mod reached over 1 million players in its first 4 months on August 6, 2012, with hundreds of thousands of people purchasing Arma 2 just to play it. In response to its popularity, Bohemia Interactive made a standalone game creatively titled DayZ that has gone on to sell over 5.8 million copies. The mod, which many still consider to be the true version of DayZ, remains in continued development by its community. Seeing as the standalone DayZ itself is technically a clone of DayZ, it may not come as a surprise that there have been numerous attempts to produce clones to capture its unique success. Games such as H1Z1 aim to be blatant clones but manage to gain temporary traction. Other games such as Scum used DayZ as inspiration for its groundwork, but steered in a separate direction when it came to survival mechanics, developing complete character customization, body composition, and additional methods to stay alive in the aggressively populated map. There's one clone that came before any of these though. In fact, it's one of the original DayZ clones, going by the name ApocZ. Taking obvious inspiration in both its title and gameplay, was a unique and original clone of its time. A bit ironic, isn't it? You see, while DayZ players of 2023 may have access on the Xbox and PlayStation, it wasn't always this way. Back in 2014, ApocZ managed to fill this void by being the first game of its kind to be released on console. This happened to be directly through the Xbox 360 indie game store, providing console players that had no access to a PC an alternative that fixed their issue for an appealing $1 price point, rather than the cost of a whole computer, making ApocZ the original and best console alternative to DayZ for its time. The studio behind this small-time indie game was Kreations. This development company was founded in 2009 by Kevin Kelly, who had just recently left 3G Studios, where he worked as a programmer. This company had a very short lifespan, but in this time, their goal was to create affordable video games. They even utilized a self-created endgame engine, which would be used to produce indie games such as Toy Plane, Aliens vs. Romans, and of course, ApocZ. ApocZ, however, would be their final release to this day. This may come as a surprise, seeing as this was a newly founded company with its own game engine and very few games under their belt. Though, this doesn't detract from the impact of ApocZ. Let's get to understanding the game and what made it so special to me and many others. Loading into the game with a total of 16 players, you start off with an axe to your name, which happens to be extremely generous when compared to other survival games. Rather than having to punch zombies directly in the jaw until you find a weapon after looting for 3 hours, you can now slash at groups of them immediately, which is rather beneficial since the server spawns 2,000 zombies during its creation. Though once they're dead, they stay dead. It can lead to some pretty entertaining scenarios, such as coming across another player training loads of zombies as they attempt to find just enough food and water to stay alive. The game provides very little info to you, utilizing a rudimentary HUD to display blood/health, water, food, and days survived. Besides this, you are on your own, with the weak graphics, flimsy controls, and numerous bugs. Not to necessarily say these aspects made the game unenjoyable though. It was a part of a 360 indie game experience. The humorous bugs, PvP encounters, and zombies bursting from vehicle impact were a majority of the highlights. Exploration within this setting is limited to 4 square miles in Ukraine on the Black Sea. This sizing kept the world compact, so the player interaction was at a maximum. To cushion the walking between locations as well were vehicles, though these could only be described as improvised explosives, seeing as they had the capability to suddenly teleport and explode. This was never fixed in any of the patches, so provided you have access to the game, the same experience will ensue. Throughout this map, alongside houses in a small town are military bases and even a plane crash. These are the main points of player conflict and interaction, seeing as they are hot spots for the top of the line gear. I remember sneaking around military bases, with but a wee pistol or axe waiting for the opportune moment to strike, and once you got the courage, you either got mowed down by an LMG or earned access to a wealth of supplies. There's even a feature unique to ApocZ at the time. You could save your loot through a tent system. Once you placed a tent, you could store items within it, and from that point on, it would spawn in every server you joined. There was a major issue though. You weren't the only one who could access it. While I would say this might cause stress during your gameplay, it didn't. Due to an alert system that would spam your screen once someone began removing items from your tent, meaning that the majority of players would disconnect the moment this alert appeared. I won't lie, I was extremely guilty of quick time disconnecting. It was one of those weird gameplay loops that for the most part you could laugh off. If you were the one looting, you'd often find that the tent disappeared along with the player disconnect notification. I even remember adding a few of these people and sharing some jokes about it. I never found the occurrence to be anything other than entertaining. Obviously, ApocZ became popular during this time for its unique charm, and it even received a few patches to fix up what they could. However, after patch 1.2, the game seemed to go quiet. Doing a little bit of searching though, what we can find is an unexpected story of tragedy, one that struck the developer Kevin Kelly and his family. Everything that will be discussed is entirely on the ApocZ forums. Starting on September 23rd, 2014, we can see a post by the official admin covering an extremely serious topic. ApocZ developer Kevin and his family were in a car accident. 1 dead and 5 injured in Highway 70 collision. Looking through this post, we can find several updates on Kevin and his family's conditions. While Kevin, his wife, and children all survived the accident, Kevin and his wife experienced severe injuries. Much worse though, 5th passenger by the name Kelly had been killed in the collision. Looking at these posts, we continue to see the severely strained mental and physical trauma placed upon their shoulders. It's no secret that one's life can change in an instant. Many never expect it until it happens. Kevin himself went through several surgeries in the following weeks, and was recovering in a wheelchair until he was capable of walking once again. On the 21st of October, we get a post stating, Kevin is home again, and still recovering however. Kevin has made his office wheel-friendly, and is happy to be back at work. Modifications still need to be made, so progress is still a bit slow. Thank you all for your patience. Kevin himself made one final forum post on December 3rd, 2014, detailing the progress with the ApocZ 1.3 patch and his own personal situation, ending his post with, the reality of being in a wheelchair and dealing with some very busted up ankles and hip turned out to be very demanding. I have a new appreciation and empathy for folks who are permanently confined to a wheelchair. It's not just physical, but also very mentally challenging to overcome. Fortunately for me, my situation is not permanent, and I will definitely walk again. It's going to take some time. He even shared a couple graphic images of his recovering legs that I can't show on screen for obvious reasons. This, however, would be our final update from Kevin himself. The final forum post overall being an exchange between an ApocZ forum admin and Gui Games, who was a part of Kreations. Though this exchange doesn't provide us with any newer information, we get a final statement from Gui Games. Don't give up. After this, we can find a couple of games on their YouTube channel, showcasing a Steam greenlit game named Memory. However, this was 6 years ago, and no trace of this game is to be found. Even following the direct Steam link in the description leads us to an error page. From this point on, ApocZ, Kreations, and Kevin all went dark. Kevin Kelly's LinkedIn provides us with no further information, and the only other source of ApocZ to be found is an old Steam store page that states, coming soon, though no information has been provided since. For my own personal digging though, that it is likely both the ApocZ Steam page and Steam account claiming to be the founder Kevin are fake. There's no evidence to support the validity behind either. Even the YouTube account provided on the Steam page unveils a glaring issue. The account doesn't match with the original Kreations YouTube created for the 360 release. If I were you, I wouldn't put any weight into the idea of ApocZ coming anytime soon to Steam or current gen consoles. While this game has very little chance to return, many of us have gained memories that we will always remember. That is, of course, until dementia hits us. Until then though, we have fond experiences to look back on during the 360 days. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you're a fan of nostalgic games and deep dives, I'd suggest liking, subscribing, and checking out my previous Castle Miner Z video. Let me know down below your thoughts on ApocZ, the video, and any suggestions you have for future installments of this series. Thank you to every member on screen for the continued support. There's no way I could show just how much I appreciate you guys. If you'd like to become a member as well, I now have memberships open for as little as $1 a month. There's some cool perks involved, such as emoticons, profile icons, and much more. I look forward to talking to you all down below. Have a great day, chooms.